Seems like yesterday we used to rock the show.
Heavily armed federal officials descended on Sean Diddy Combs' Holmby Hills mansion.
Video you're about to see is extremely graphic.
The internet has been brimming with wild claims about Sean Diddy Combs. What's crazy is that each day of the investigation brings up ugly leaks that leave the audience gaping with shock. From deep influences to the involvement of other major celebrities and some very questionable finds, these news are not for the faint-hearted. Let's dig in. The mystery of Diddy's plane. Was the real Diddy even arrested?
Where is Diddy? The rapper and music mogul hasn't publicly surfaced.
Diddy Combs' private plane landed in Miami on Wednesday.
Hey, now this might just be a hoax, but the news claims that it could be true. Apparently, Diddy's private jet was spotted in Auckland. It came to land for a couple of hours, then took off the very next day. Since the base cannot track a private jet, nobody knows where it came from or where it is headed. The only thing that people know is that it looked exactly like P. Diddy's black Gulfstream.
Earlier this week, P. Diddy's Miami and LA homes were raided by Homeland Security.
There were no other aircraft like it around the region. Plus, the Gulfstream is widely known to belong to Diddy. What do you think it was doing there? Many people think that the plane was used to help escape the real Diddy away from America. After all, people tried to make some connections about how the picture of Diddy after his arrest looks different to the real Diddy. But it is pretty far-fetched. I think it is safe to say that the FBI has hold of the real Diddy. As for the private jet, it remains a mystery. What was it doing there? Who was flying it? Was it being used to transport evidence away from the FBI? I guess we can only speculate. Usher might have had a hand in this. It appears that Diddy didn't just stumble upon Bieber on his door. No, the young talent was brought to him by other people. L.A. Reid is the man that brought both Usher and Diddy into the industry. He wrote in his memoir how Bieber was brought to him as a gift by Usher. That's as sick as it sounds. But there's more. Reid called him a beautiful 14-year-old boy. A grown man using these words for a boy in his memoir just doesn't fit right. You know why? Because Reid is facing allegations against abuse too. If that isn't shocking, check this out. Not even a year after Bieber was introduced to Reid, he was sent to Diddy to spend more time with him. It keeps getting worse, doesn't it? P. Diddy still a threat to many. News is that the industry is still pretty scared of the big star. I mean, the man has rubbed shoulders with major celebs like Kevin Hart, Jay-Z, Usher, Ashton Kutcher, to name a few. The man has influence, and turns out that some celebrity friends of Diddy have been paying off the victims to keep them quiet. At least that's the allegation. Now, which celebrities those are has not been revealed yet. The scary part does not end there, though. A close source of Diddy tells that the man has helped a lot of people in the industry, so a lot of people owe him. The scary thing is that he obviously knows that. The question is, will he use his connections somewhere along the trial, or has he already dumped some of the proof? That's not all. Diddy has been part of a lot of heinous crimes for a long amount of time. Nobody gets away with that much unless you have that power in the industry. The problem is that he is still quite powerful, even when he is inside prison. People are still afraid to cross him. He has a long history of being controlling and abusive. God knows how many people he has threatened. With that in mind, along with his loyal connections, it is hard to say whether the trial will see a just end. He could just end up walking free. Not a fan of prison food.
Diddy Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces.
Prison isn't for everyone, and certainly not for high-rated stars who live in millions of dollars worth of mansions. News is going around that Diddy isn't liking the prison food. His legal team was interviewed recently, and they revealed this fascinating piece of news. Diddy is facing the hardest time to come to terms with the regular, heart-healthy, and no-flesh dietary options. Apparently, that's the toughest part of the prison for this man.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow.
What did you expect, big man? A buffet? The threat of more settlements. There are currently 120 people set to sue Diddy, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. About 100 more people plan to sue Combs. These cases go beyond the time frame of 3 decades. Can you imagine a monster like that on the prowl for 30 years? With a long thread of his cases out in the open, it was high time to dig into the mess that Diddy had been brewing since the past 3 decades. But even the court isn't prepared to see what monster they were calling into the court. Hidden cameras at Diddy's mansion. Apparently, there were hidden cameras all over Diddy's mansion. He was secretly recording all of the workers, witnesses, and participants of the freak-offs. His guests had no clue what they were getting into when they signed up for these orgies, because this wasn't any ordinary disturbing event. You can multiply the freakishness by 10 times. The scary truth about the baby oil.
More than 1,000 bottles altogether.
The FBI only went there to collect videos and pictures as proof, but they stumbled upon something even more dark and ugly. The authorities seized a large number of supplies that were used in the freak-offs. The one thing that made the internet crazy was Diddy's collection of over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. What could he be possibly doing with such a large amount of baby oil? Trust me, no one wants to know. But there was something about the baby oil collection that made the experts think. While others were busy making memes, one TikToker came out of the blue and said that the baby oil might be a drug.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
He speculated that the baby oil contained a drug GHB that is a known date rape drug. It would numb the victim completely. If taken in an adequate amount, the victim would black out. Now, this may be a conspiracy theory, but here's why it could be true. The authorities claimed in the indictment that they found narcotics such as GHB, ketamine, and ecstasy at the mansion. Plus, experts also believe that it is possible because GHB in its raw form is a clear liquid. If this is the case, it could be possible that the baby oil had been laced with drugs, or Diddy had been stuffing GHB in the baby oil bottles. Freak-off supplies at Diddy's mansion. While you ponder on that, there's more details that you need to hear. The freak-off supplies also included IV fluids, a huge stash of money, and many narcotics. You'd think, why did he need all these things? Get ready to be horrified. It is believed that Diddy would use controlled substances to make his victims more obedient and compliant. He would force his victims to play around and engage in horrendous acts with prostitutes. What his victims didn't know was that it wasn't a one-time horror show. His secret cameras would be recording each and everything going inside the mansion. Even if they had no memory of the freak-offs, they would be reminded of it in detail, thanks to Diddy. God knows what he actually did with those tapes. I mean, Once he had their acts on tape, he could have used them for blackmail, but what if he used them for far worse reasons? I guess only time will tell. As for the freak-offs, they were pretty elaborate and well organized. The workers would be called from all over the country through a well-defined transport system. The hotels would also be stocked with extra lighting for better photography, extra linens, lubricants, baby oil, and a hefty fee to pay the hotel cleaning staff. But there was one thing that was as creepy as finding the baby oil in the mix. This ugly thing was the many IV fluids uncovered. Apparently, Diddy's victims would need large doses of IVs after the freak-offs to simply recover. That's disturbing to think about, but it gets creepier the more you dig in. The victims would be met with such horrifying acts of physical coercion and use of drugs that they would have to be admitted with IV fluids for days. But there's more. The authorities also found a 50-foot bed at his mansion. Before you crack your mouth wide open in shock, hear this. It wasn't tucked away at a secret location in the house. Oh no. This bed was sprawled right in the open in the middle of his backyard. Why does he even need such a large bed? Nothing decent comes to mind. That's all the creepy that was found at the mansion. But there was something dark too. Diddy had been hiding firearms at his house too. A few AR-15s, ammunition, and a large capacity drum magazine. Experts believe that Diddy used the firearms to intimidate his victims into obedience. Sure, when the drugs didn't work, bring out the big guns. The shocking thing about the AR-15s was that their serial number was scraped off. Experts think that Diddy did it on purpose, so that the guns cannot be traced back to him. Plus, it is quite possible that he bought them off the black market. If that's true, one can only imagine what other connections he had with that sinister black market. What's interesting is that the indictment was only 14 pages. Experts believe that all the evidence was not put out into the indictment. It will be handed to the defense, but it won't be made public. Can you imagine what other disturbing proofs they are hiding? Will they ever come out in the open? Let us know in the comments. For now, let's dive a bit deeper into P. Diddy and his life as a supposed criminal. Justin Bieber, disgusted with the allegations. With the allegations coming out against Diddy, the internet has been taking a deeper look into Diddy's life. What they found might just be evidence that could be presented at the court. While many of his named and unnamed victims have come out, there are some that remain hidden. You'd never guess the name of one person in that list. The pop icon, Justin Bieber. You heard that right. Now, Bieber hasn't come out to deny or confirm the allegations, but the videos surfacing the internet do hint at a few sinister things going on behind the curtains. Bieber entered the industry when he was a child. He has spoken about how it was a harsh time for him.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn. And
the industry took advantage of him and then left him at his weakest. Around that time, Diddy was a big character in his story. You might not have noticed it then, but you'll see the loose knots tying up right now. Let's take a look. This is a short clip from an interview with Jimmy Kimmel from 2010. The footage shows the duo yapping away with Kimmel. You know, a pretty normal interview. But near the end, Diddy says something that the viewers cannot ignore. First of all, he claims he became friends with Bieber in a strange way. What do you mean there, big guy? If you're becoming friends with a 16-year-old in a strange way, that pretty much gives the court the power to call you in. That's not all. He also somewhat threatens Bieber to not say anything about what goes on between them. He mentions how Bieber has access to his house. the same mansion where the freak-offs were happening. This isn't the only time Diddy was found threatening Bieber. In another video, Diddy was found asking Bieber why he doesn't meet up with him anymore. I mean, who even asks a child a question like that? Heck, forget Diddy for a second. I guess we can speculate, but the video is proof enough. If you think these are all wild claims, take a look at this video. This is footage from the later years. Bieber is spotted going back to his car. But wait, just as he stops to hug Diddy, something spooky happens. Diddy checks if Bieber is tapped. Who in their right mind checks a person out like that unless they are hiding something very dark? He even mumbles something in Bieber's ears that forces him to bow down and leave. Did he threaten him? Remind him of something they did? I guess we can only ponder, but this is as strange as it could get. If you still have any suspicion, you need to see this video. I bet you cannot explain this. The clips show the two of them when Bieber was 15. The day was titled 48 Hours with Diddy. This is an old and odd YouTube video. Why does a grown man want to be spending 2 straight days with a 15-year-old? Most of all, what does he plan to do that's so secretive that he cannot even disclose it to the public? I don't know if he was joking here in this clip, but Bieber's nervous expressions tell that he had no clue what he was getting into either. Apparently, Diddy lured him in with his big house and his fancy Lamborghini. He called it a 15-year-old's dream, but I see it becoming a nightmare for him. That's not just my claim. A close source tells the news that Bieber was told to stay far away from the Diddy case. The source claims that Justin is at a really hard place right now. With all the allegations popping up, it is like opening a door he had shut a long time ago. He feels disgusted by the scandal brewing up and has no intention to reopen that side of his life. It is unclear whether Bieber was a victim of Diddy or a witness to some of the most terrifying things a child can experience. But it remains clear as day that Bieber was definitely involved in all the drama surrounding Diddy. Here's why people think that he was more than just a witness. This is a song that Bieber released a while back.
Yeah, you got that yummy, that yummy,
called Yummy. While it looks like a normal pop song, there's something near the end that you cannot ignore. The clip shows a young Bieber on the plate, as old people finish off the plate. What was he trying to tell? Is it mere symbolism or something more? The BTS of this video only adds more to the mystery. He was found to be lying in a baby position, scrunching his head and holding himself at the set. This might be a wild guess, but you can't shake away one thing. Bieber was definitely a witness to something sinister going on at Diddy's mansion. There's more to the story. Potential murders. Now, I know what you're thinking. How bad can it get from here? Trust me, the list of crimes on this sicko's record is out of this world. Apart from his abusive pattern in relationships and creepy acts at his mansion, there is a side of him that's much darker. Sources claim that it isn't long until murderer is added to his list of charges. Here's why. The famous Tupac Shakur was allegedly killed, but the proof never came out. In the first incident that was called a robbery, the man was shot 5 times. No robber in their right mind would fire 5 times just to get a hold of the loot. Tupac was a few feet away from the studio where Diddy and his 40 men were present. When Tupac entered the studio, he claimed that Diddy and all of his men remained unbothered. That's when he publicly accused Biggie Smalls, Bad Boy Records, and Diddy of attempted murder. 2 years after this incident, Diddy may have struck again, but this time he was successful. Tupac passed away due to a shootout after leaving from a boxing match. The scary thing is that the footage for both incidents were not available. Experts claim someone in Tupac's close circle may have taken the strike. Ever since the allegations came out, many of Diddy's victims are speaking up. He is way more influential than you think. All these allegations might have been a hoax if it came from one person. But J. Cole did the same in his track. He hinted at other victims, Aaliyah, Left Eye, and Michael Jackson. People think that Diddy may have had a strong hand in people's lives and in Hollywood. They think he is far more powerful in the industry, toying up with people's lives. Now, there are theories about how Jay-Z and Beyoncé are involved in Diddy's crimes. But we will have to wait for that list to pop wide open to get a bit more into that detail. For now, there is one more person from the industry that I'd like to discuss: Kanye. This guy got a lot of hate back when he started saying gibberish about Diddy. But people cannot ignore his wild comments anymore. Kanye tried to expose Diddy by calling him a Fed in the year 2022.
Everybody think I'm crazy. You already took my family away. You already separated all my friends.
A Fed didn't mean a lot back then, but that's because nobody paid attention. If you look at that comment right now, everything changes. Kanye is obviously hinting at the fact that Diddy is part of the authorities. He can sweep anything he wants under the rug. Not to mention, he has hands everywhere. Do you think Diddy took that abuse to other kids and people in the industry? I guess his trial will open up and confirm a lot of these allegations. Till then, we can only wait. If you enjoyed the video, smash the like button and hit subscribe. There's more that we will be unveiling soon. Thanks for watching and goodbye.